You want to know why you're losing? Why you're suffocating in a world that doesn't even blink when you bleed? It's simple. You still react. You still flinch when they jab. You still explain yourself when they spit lies. You still justify your existence to people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared tomorrow. That's why you're tired. That's why you're broken. Because you're handing pieces of yourself to people who don't even look down when they step on you. Listen to me. No more reactions. No more justifications. None. You hear the noise? Let it pass through you like wind through broken windows. They accuse you? Good. Let them. They twist your words? Perfect. Let them paint whatever version of you fits their little storylines. You stay silent. You stay still. You let their words rot in the same place they birthed them, in their coward hearts. You don't owe anybody a damn thing. Not an explanation, not a defense, not a single word. When they come swinging, you don't swing back. You step out of the way and you smile, because you already know. They only swing at what they fear. They only attack what they envy. They only break what they know they'll never become. You waste your strength every time you try to prove yourself to people who decided who you were long before they even met you. You ever seen a lion argue with a hyena? No. He just stares. Maybe he growls. Maybe he doesn't even bother. Why? Because he knows who he is. He doesn't perform for them. He doesn't answer to them. That's what you gotta learn. The loudest ones, the messiest ones, the ones always in your business, they're the smallest. Inside, they're hollow. Inside, they're praying you'll flinch so they can call it a victory. They're praying you'll scream so they can call you weak. But you go quiet. You turn into a storm that doesn't make announcements. You move like a shadow that doesn't need permission. Silence is heavy. Silence is a sword sharper than any insult. When you stop reacting, when you stop justifying, you kill them quietly. You strangle them with their own expectations. You leave them talking to themselves in empty rooms, choking on the dust of their own words. Look at the world. Look close. It's not the loud ones who are remembered. It's not the ones who explain themselves to every cheap crowd. It's the silent ones. The ones who took the beatings and kept walking. The ones who turned every scar into a roadmap. You want to know why you're hurt? Because you thought being good would protect you. Because you thought explaining yourself would fix misunderstandings. Because you thought defending yourself would clear your name. But they were never interested in the truth. They just wanted a show. They wanted you begging. They wanted you cracking. You didn't break for them, so now they call you cold. Good. Let them. Cold survives. Cold doesn't burn itself out trying to warm the ungrateful. Cold builds empires while the warm bleed themselves dry for applause they'll never get. Stay cold. Stay silent. Stay unapologetic. No reactions. No justifications. Only forward. Only stronger. You think your silence means you're weak? No, It means you're finally in control. It means you're done dancing to their broken music. It means you're done living on their terms. They say you changed? Damn right you did. Growth always looks like betrayal to those who refuse to grow. They say you're heartless now? Good. A heart exposed to the wrong hands was never protection. It was suicide. They wanted you soft. They wanted you questioning yourself. They wanted you to need them. And now they'll watch you build walls they can't climb, fortresses they can't breach, a life so far removed from their reach, it'll make them choke. Let them sit in the ashes of the bridges they burned. Let them miss you in the silence they created. You don't go back. You don't explain why you left. You don't sit around crafting apologies for being better off without them. The ones who deserved you would have never put you in a position where you had to choose yourself over them. You were never the villain. They just hated the fact that you survived what was supposed to break you. They threw their worst at you, didn't they? Their insults, their doubts, their betrayals. And when you didn't crumble like they planned, when you didn't beg for their approval, that's when they got scared. See, people don't hate you because you're bad. They hate you because you remind them of everything they failed to kill in themselves. You're a mirror they can't crack. You're proof that the world doesn't owe anyone kindness. It rewards those who stay standing when there's nothing left to hold on to but rage and faith in themselves. You think silence is weakness? Silence is war. Silence is your declaration that you will no longer be dragged into battles beneath you. Every time you stay silent, you remind them that their weapons don't reach you anymore. They want your anger because it shows you still care. They want your tears because it proves they still matter. Deny them both. Give them nothing. Let their own emptiness devour them while you move like a ghost they can't predict, a fire they can't contain. No reactions, no justifications, just progress, just evolution, just the slow, merciless rise of someone who refused to die in the dirt they threw. Let's make something clear. You owe no one a seat at your table. Not the ones who mocked your dreams. Not the ones who left you bleeding when you needed them most. Not the ones who only knew your name when it was convenient for them. You don't owe them an explanation for your absence. You don't owe them an apology for your silence. Growth is expensive, and it's paid in solitude. If it feels lonely right now, good. It means you're finally in rooms where your worth isn't being auctioned off for cheap validation. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to sit with their own noise. When you stop explaining, they start wondering. When you stop defending, they start doubting their own stories. Let them choke on their own narratives. Let them sit in the confusion they created. You don't clear up rumors. You don't defend yourself against gossip. You don't show up to wars where your name is thrown like dirt. That's how you lose your soul. That's how you get trapped in a cycle where you fight battles that don't even feed you. Instead, you disappear into your purpose. You bury yourself in your work. You build in silence, and you let the success, the peace, the strength do the talking. No reactions, no justifications, only results. Only undeniable, ruthless, breathtaking results. You want to break the world? You want to destroy their doubts? You do it quietly. You do it when they least expect it. You show up one day, stronger than ever, not with words, but with presence. A presence so loud it makes them stutter. A presence so undeniable it erases every lie they ever told about you. You don't owe anyone the journey you had to walk barefoot and bleeding. You don't owe anyone the chapters they weren't strong enough to survive with you. They only get to see the version of you that survived it all. And guess what? That version doesn't explain. That version doesn't beg for understanding. That version doesn't cry at closed doors. That version slams the locks shut and builds skyscrapers over the ruins they left behind. Every time they look at you, let them see the graveyard of every expectation they had for your failure. Let your silence be the echo of their defeat. You were not made to be understood by small minds. You were made to outgrow them, to intimidate them, to become the storm they whispered about, but could never prepare for. No reactions, no justifications, just the cold, hard truth that you never needed them in the first place. You know what's funny? The second you stop explaining yourself, they call you arrogant. The second you stop reacting to their little games, they call you heartless. Good. Let them. Let every name they throw bounce right off you like pebbles against steel. Let every twisted story they tell become the chains they tie themselves up in. You don't move for them. You don't slow down to clear up their confusion. You let them sit there, guessing, assuming, wondering, because that's what powerless people do. They invent stories when reality is too heavy for them to carry. And you? You're too damn heavy for their hands now. You don't owe them your side of the story. You don't owe them your tears, your anger, your explanations. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself evolution. You owe yourself a life that doesn't shrink to fit their comfort zones. Understand this. When you rise, when you rebuild, when you stop needing them, you scare them. Not because you're cruel, but because you became proof that survival doesn't require permission. You became living evidence that loyalty to yourself is the deadliest weapon. No reactions, no justifications. Just this brutal, cold, undeniable existence that they can't control anymore. You spent too long explaining your soul to deaf ears. You spent too long defending your dreams to blind eyes. You wasted nights rehearsing speeches they were never gonna listen to. It's done. Over. The new you doesn't explain. The new you doesn't try to fit back into hands that trembled at the weight of your potential. They let you go because they were too small, to carry you. They dropped you because they were never built to walk beside you. That's their burden to carry, not yours. Let them tell whatever stories make them sleep better at night. Let them post their half-truths, spread their rumors, craft their little myths. Meanwhile, you move, you build, you climb, you bleed quietly, and you win loudly. Not with words, not with justifications, but with actions so devastating they rewrite every lie without you ever speaking a syllable. You want to silence your enemies? Outgrow them so brutally that their words turn into whispers even they don't believe anymore. You want to kill the noise? Starve it. Don't feed it attention. Don't feed it reactions. Don't feed it explanations. Nothing dies faster than a rumor ignored by the only person it was meant to destroy. And listen, stop apologizing for becoming exactly who you needed to be to survive. Stop feeling guilty for building walls that kept the wrong people out. You're not cruel. You're not bitter. You're someone who learned the hard way that not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone deserves front row seats to your life. Some people earned their distance. Some people bought their exile with their own hands. And you owe them nothing but silence. You owe them nothing but the cold, heavy absence they created when they gambled and lost. Growth is ugly. It's lonely. It's violent sometimes. But it's real. And the ones who can't stand the new you, they're the ones who benefited from the broken you. Let them leave. Let them talk. Let them rot in the gardens they poisoned. You don't fix what tried to kill you. You bury it. You leave it behind. And you build something so unbreakable, so untouchable, that even your scars start to shine like warnings. No reactions, no justifications, only evolution, only silence, only the kind of power that doesn't need a microphone because it's carved into every step you take. You're tired because you're still carrying old versions of yourself you should have buried a long time ago. You're exhausted because you're still explaining your heart to people who only ever wanted your downfall. You're drained because you're fighting wars you already won. Enough. Drop it. Drop the guilt. Drop the need to be understood. Drop the urge to be liked. It's a trap. They made you think your worth was tied to their approval. It's not. Never was. Your worth was in your survival, in your ability to crawl out of the wreckage and still have the nerve to dream, in your ability to lose everything and still bet on yourself. You are not here to be understood. You are not here to be explained. You're not here to be accepted by the very people who prayed you would fall. You are here to be undeniable. You are here to be inevitable. You are here to become everything they said you'd never be. And you're gonna do it without ever wasting another breath explaining why. No reactions, no justifications, just cold, ruthless, unapologetic domination. You see, the minute you stop explaining yourself, the minute you stop giving them a damn thing to feed on, they'll call you dangerous. They'll call you unstable, unpredictable, selfish. Let them. Wear it like armor. They need you to be predictable so they can box you in, control you, tame you. They need you to react because your reactions give them relevance. Your justifications give them permission to keep playing with you like you're some cheap toy. But when you stop rising to the bait, that's when they panic. That's when the ground starts shaking under their feet because they realize you don't need them. You never did. You were just too kind, too patient, too understanding. They mistook your patience for permission. They thought your kindness was a weakness they could exploit forever. But you're not here to play savior to people who drown themselves. You're not here to explain your soul to hands too dirty to hold it. You're here to build a life so clean, so viciously powerful, that it burns their eyes when they even glance your way. You're not a rehabilitation center for broken loyalty. You're not a landfill for their insecurities. You are the storm. And storms don't explain why they rip roofs off. They just do. No reactions. No justifications. Only the silent violence of becoming something too big for their world. Every time you bite your tongue, every time you walk away without reacting, you reclaim your soul from people who tried to auction it off for attention. Every time you let their nonsense die without feeding it a word, you become heavier, colder, sharper. Let them say you're heartless. They don't know the price of a heart like yours. Let them call you distant. They don't know the distance you had to crawl through to stand where you are. Let them say you changed. You did. That's the point. You burned every version of yourself that begged, that explained, that reacted to every dirty whisper. You became a weapon. Not one forged in noise and explanations, but one sharpened in silence. You are not a lesson they deserved to learn. You are the punishment they earned when they gambled your loyalty and lost. Stop opening old wounds just to prove you survived. Stop explaining your silence to people who treated your voice like it was disposable. You don't owe them the courtesy of understanding you. You owe them exactly what they gave you. Nothing. Building, evolve, win. Let your success explain what your words never could. There's a certain kind of pain that teaches you something no victory ever will. The pain of being doubted by people you bled for. The pain of being forgotten by the very ones you moved mountains for. That pain is your gift. It's the purification fire that burns away every ounce of weakness they planted in you. That pain is what separates the ones who stay stuck from the ones who ascend so high that the betrayal becomes microscopic. Let it fuel you. Let it harden you. Let it burn so deeply into your bones that every step you take after this feels like revenge against the ones who buried knives in your back. But here's the trick. You don't seek revenge through words. You don't show up to the petty wars they try to drag you into. You win through absence, through elevation, through silence. They can't hurt what they can't reach. They can't destroy what doesn't come down to their level. No reactions, no justifications. Just this brutal, slow, silent rise into something they can never understand and never touch again. And don't think for a second that walking away quietly makes you weak. It makes you a goddamn force of nature. Weak people scream. Weak people throw tantrums. Weak people explain themselves to death, hoping to be seen, hoping to be understood. You are beyond that. You are the shadow that moves without announcement, the fire that consumes without apology, the hurricane that destroys without permission. You don't need to announce your pain. You don't need to broadcast your comebacks. You don't need to scream your story into ears that are deaf by choice. You rebuild in silence. You recover in silence. You become unstoppable in silence. Let them wonder where you went. Let them regret the silence that took your place. You are not obligated to soften yourself for the ones who broke you. You are not responsible for making yourself digestible for people who choked on your full power. If they couldn't handle your love, your loyalty, your dreams, they sure as hell can't handle your silence. No reactions, no justifications, just this. The slow, cold, unbothered dominance of a soul that finally remembered its worth. You gotta understand something deep, something they'll never tell you because they're too damn scared to admit it. Your silence is their mirror. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining, they're left alone, and they have to face what they've done. Your silence forces them to sit with the fact that they lost access to you. Not because you screamed, not because you slammed the door, but because you quietly decided they were never worth the noise in the first place. And that's what eats them alive. The idea that they're no longer worth your words. See, people don't want closure. They don't want explanations. They want to stay comfortable in their own lies while you keep bleeding, trying to fix what they broke. That's why you stop talking. That's why you move different. No grand speeches, no emotional goodbyes. You just disappear into the version of yourself that no longer flinches when they say your name. Let them gossip. Let them assume. Let them drown in their own confusion. Your silence is the echo of everything they couldn't destroy in you. It's the funeral for the version of you that would have stayed explaining and justifying and pleading for understanding. That version died. You buried it. And from those ashes, a colder, sharper, quieter beast was born. One that doesn't need permission to breathe, to dream, to conquer. You want to win? You want to bury every lie they ever whispered? Then build in silence. Train in silence. Work in silence. Let your next chapter be so silent, so devastating, that when they finally hear from you again, it's not your voice they hear. It's the earthquake of everything you became while they were busy laughing. Don't fight for spaces. that rejected you. Don't explain yourself to minds too small to comprehend your soul. Don't beg for love from hands that dropped you without a second thought. You stand. You build. You bleed alone if you have to, but you never lower yourself back into the pits they live in. You kill them with absence. You kill them with peace. You kill them with the fact that not only did you survive without them, you thrived. They'll call you cold. Let them. They'll call you selfish. Good. Let them sit in their misunderstandings. They were never meant to understand you. They were meant to lose you. No reactions. No justifications. Just this. This brutal, ruthless silence that speaks louder than any argument you could ever make. You owe it to yourself to be ruthless now. Ruthless with your peace. Ruthless with your energy. Ruthless with who gets access to you. This is not cruelty. This is survival. You gave the world your soft parts. You gave your friends, your family, your lovers, the most delicate parts of you. And what did they do? They used them as weapons. They poked, they prodded, they mocked, they doubted, they left. Now it's your turn, not to hurt them back. No, that's too small for you now. It's your turn to protect yourself so fiercely that the next time someone tries to enter your world, they have to level up just to stand beside you. No warnings, no second chances, no explanations. Either they respect your silence, your boundaries, your path, or they get left behind, forgotten like yesterday's noise. You are not a rehab center for broken people. You are not a motivational speaker for doubters. You are not a safety net for traitors. You are a fortress now, a moving force so silent and strong that nothing cheap, nothing weak, nothing cowardly can even approach without trembling. And that's how you win. Not by shouting, not by explaining, not by reacting, but by making your existence too powerful, too silent, too damn pure for them to ever reach again. You think all this silence means you lost? You didn't lose. You chose peace over war. You chose self-respect over temporary applause. You chose growth over circles. And in a world obsessed with attention, with clout, with drama, silence is rebellion. Silence is power. Silence is the middle finger you don't have to raise. And every day you move forward without justifying who you are, without reacting to the noise behind you. You burn their lies a little more. You erase their stories without even lifting a finger. You kill their assumptions without firing a single shot. You become a myth, untouchable, unreachable, undeniable. They'll tell the story of you like a cautionary tale. We lost him. We lost her. And we never even saw it happen. Good. That's the way legends leave. Quietly, brutally, without looking back. No reactions, no justifications, only silence. And the deafening sound of your survival screaming louder than any words ever could. You know what's funny about them? They always notice when you stop giving, when you stop answering the late night calls, when you stop showing up for people who never showed up for you. Suddenly, you're the villain. Suddenly, you're the bad guy. They'll cry about your distance. They'll curse your silence. They'll say you changed, that you're not who you used to be. And you know what? They're right. You're not. You killed the version of yourself that needed to be accepted to feel valuable. You murdered the part of you that thought loyalty meant tolerating disrespect. You buried the side of you that thought loving harder could fix people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You changed because you had to, because survival demanded it. Growth isn't this cute, tidy process they sell you in fairy tales. It's war. It's ugly. It's bloody. It's lonely. It's nights spent staring at the ceiling, building a new you from the ashes of betrayal. And when you come out the other side, colder, quieter, stronger, they won't recognize you. They're not supposed to. They were never meant to walk with the version of you that's unstoppable. They were meant to be the lesson, not the companions, not the witnesses, the goddamn warning signs you finally learn to read. No reactions, no justifications. You just vanish into greatness, and you let their confusion be your soundtrack. Don't you dare feel guilty for the spaces you've outgrown. Don't you dare feel bad for the bridges you burned. Some bridges needed to be turned to ash so you wouldn't walk back across them when loneliness came knocking. You think it's sad that they're gone? No. What's sad is how long you stayed watering dead plants, trying to force gardens to grow on concrete. What's sad is how long you kept showing up for people who wouldn't even lift a damn finger for you. But not anymore. Silence taught you. Absence sharpened you. Distance freed you. Now, every time you feel tempted to explain why you left, remember, the people who deserved you would never have put you in a position where you had to leave in the first place. You owe nobody a breakdown. You owe nobody a chapter-by-chapter explanation of your healing. You are not obligated to make them comfortable with the reality that they lost access to you. You don't have to soften your story to make it digestible for the ones who wrote you off. Let them sit with the mystery. Let them choke on their assumptions. You owe them nothing but the silence they earned. No reactions. No justifications. Only this. The haunting absence of someone they thought would always stay. And don't you dare think that walking away makes you weak. It makes you unstoppable, because the strongest soldiers know when a battlefield isn't worth dying on. The loud ones, the ones who scream and stomp and throw tantrums, they're stuck. They're still fighting wars that ended years ago. They're still shouting in rooms you no longer stand in. And you left the room. You left the battlefield. you realized the fight was never about winning arguments. It was about winning your peace, your future, your soul. That's the real victory. Not in who throws the last punch, but in who walks away without a scratch, because they knew the fight was beneath them. And every step you take forward without turning back is a bullet they can't dodge. Every level you reach in silence is a slap they can't recover from. You don't have to scream you won. They'll hear it in the silence. They'll feel it every time they wonder where you went, why you don't reach out, why you don't argue anymore. Because silence isn't the absence of words. Silence is the presence of strength too heavy for their shallow minds to carry. No reactions, no justifications, just this, the quiet, brutal climb into a life so good, their names won't even cross your mind anymore. And one day, they'll realize. One day, they'll sit in a room full of people who never loved them the way you did. They'll search for the loyalty you gave so freely and find nothing but empty conversations. They'll look for your patience in others and find nothing but impatience. They'll miss your kindness in a world that knows nothing but transactions. And when that day comes, when they feel the full weight of losing you, you won't have to say a damn word. You won't have to post a quote. You won't have to explain your side. Your life will be your revenge. Your peace will be your answer. Your silence will be the final nail in the coffin of their regret. No reactions, no justifications, just the simple, brutal reality that you survived. And they didn't even realize you were leaving until the door had already closed behind you. You know what the saddest part is? They'll never even realize the war they started. They'll never see the day they pushed you too far, crossed the last invisible line. They'll sit around blaming you for your silence, pretending they don't know why you disappeared. But deep down, they know. They felt it in the way you stopped explaining. They saw it in the way your eyes went colder, the way your words got fewer, sharper, deadlier. They knew they were losing you the moment you stopped arguing, the moment you stopped fighting for a seat at tables you should have flipped over. People don't miss you when you're around. They miss you when your absence echoes louder than your presence ever did. They miss you when the phone doesn't light up with your name. They miss you when they realize nobody else cared like you did. And by then, it's too late. You're already gone. You already learned the most brutal lesson life can teach. That no matter how much heart you give, some people are built to waste it. No reactions, no justifications, just that cold, ruthless decision to bet everything on yourself and never, ever offer yourself to beggars again. You didn't lose when they left. You didn't lose when they lied. You didn't lose when they chose somebody else, something else, anything else over you. You lost when you stayed too long. You lost when you kept giving the best parts of yourself to people who showed you every day that they weren't ready, weren't worthy, weren't even trying. That's the real betrayal. Not that they hurt you, but that you kept handing them the knife after the first cut. But not anymore. That version of you is gone, buried under 6 feet of regret, and reborn as something feral, something untouchable. You don't apologize for learning the hard way. You don't apologize for becoming someone who no longer has time for half-hearted love, half-built loyalty, half-fake friendships. You walk forward like a ghost from the past they abandoned, colder, sharper, more focused than ever. And when they come back, and oh, they always come back, you meet them with silence. You meet them with eyes that see right through them, with hands that never reach out again, with a heart too armored to bleed for old wounds. No reactions, no justifications. Just the brutal truth that you no longer live in the world where their love, their lies, or their losses mattered. You ever wonder why they start to respect you after you leave? It's because respect never comes when you beg for it. Respect comes when you remove yourself from the equation. When you stop proving, stop defending, stop pleading. When you pack up your soul and leave them standing in the ashes of the bridges they burned. That's when it hits them. That's when the weight of your absence crushes the fantasy they built about you. And you don't gloat. You don't wave your success in their faces. You don't even bother sending a message. Because the real ones don't announce their comebacks. They move so silently, so ruthlessly, that by the time anyone realizes they're back on their feet, they're already 10 floors higher, out of reach, out of sight, out of explanation. That's your story now. That's your revenge. Every morning you wake up and choose peace over chaos. Every night you go to sleep without needing their validation. Every breath you take without explaining yourself is a dagger to the heart of the ones who thought they broke you. No reactions, no justifications, just silent, brutal domination of a life you built from the pieces they tried to scatter. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You weren't built for small rooms, for small minds, for small games. That's why you always felt out of place around them. That's why you always felt like you were too much, too intense, too real. You were. And instead of shrinking yourself, instead of dumbing yourself down to fit into their tiny worlds, you finally did what you were always meant to do. You outgrew them. And now, you're dangerous. Because you don't need their acceptance. You don't crave their applause. You don't even hear their noise anymore. You move different now. You breathe different. You expect nothing. You anticipate everything. You build without announcements. You heal without witnesses. You win without cheers. And it terrifies them. It shatters them. Because they know, once a soul like yours stops explaining, stops reacting, stops justifying, it becomes something no amount of guilt, regret, or apology can ever bring back. No reactions, no justifications, just the heavy, deadly silence of a king who realized he never needed a kingdom full of clowns.